Why do you struggle every day yet remain stationary? Why do you labor from dawn till dusk, yet the results still do not arrive? It is because you have accepted fatigue as a natural result, whereas fatigue is the first sign of failure. Fatigue is the evidence that your mental order is broken, your energy is spent without a plan, and your life has slipped from your command. This is not a weakness, it is a sign that you are violating a universal law. Until you learn this law, no matter how hard you work, you will be like one pouring water into a leaking bucket. I, Dale Carnegie, have worked with people for over 40 years and observed thousands of lives. And let me tell you something definite. Successful people do not work more, they rest more wisely. They manage their energy like capital. They rest before they are tired, and this is the most critical difference that separates them from others. Think of Andrew Carnegie, the founder of the Steel Empire. He was one of the wealthiest men in the world, yet he did not reach this point by working 16 hours a day. No, every evening when he left his office, he would empty his mind completely. When he went home, he did not think of work. He would say, "One day ends, a new day begins." Through this discipline, he would return to his work the next morning with a fresh, sharp, and focused mind. He understood that rest was not a luxury, but a necessity. Now think of your heart. Your heart pauses for a moment after every beat. It rests, it relaxes, and then it beats again. Through this rhythm, your heart works a lifetime without tiring. What would happen if your heart worked without stopping? It would collapse within minutes. But these small moments of rest give it infinite power. Nature clearly shows us this law in the tides, the seasons, the night and the day. Everything has a rhythm, motion and rest, expansion and contraction, and you too are part of this rhythm. Success is not a sprint. Success is a march consisting of measured and unbroken strides. You must be not a sprinter, but a marathon runner. And the marathon runner knows how to use his energy. He does not waste his strength eagerly in the first kilometer and collapse in exhaustion. He distributes his energy with care. He rests, he nourishes himself, and finally he reaches the finish line. Now let us speak of Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors in history and holder of thousands of patents. How did Edison achieve his success? By working day and night? No. Edison had learned the art of taking short naps during the day. There was a sofa in his laboratory, and when he felt tired, he would sleep there for 20 minutes. When he woke, his mind would be refreshed and ready to produce ideas. He discovered that his mind performed its most creative work during the moments his body rested. This is the point most people do not understand. When you rest, your subconscious continues to work. The subconscious is a tireless worker.
It performs its most efficient work in the moments you are asleep, resting, or remaining silent. It solves your problems, organizes your ideas, and builds new connections. But you must give it this opportunity. If you keep your consciousness busy without pause, you silence your subconscious, and thus you let your greatest ally slip through your fingers. Let me tell you this, the true cause of fatigue is not work, but worry. Throughout my life, I have interviewed countless people, and most of them told me I am very tired. But when I researched, I saw that their fatigue was not physical, it was mental. While they were doing their work, their minds were wandering elsewhere. They were worrying, they were in a state of indecision, they were disorganized, And these emotional leaks were consuming their energy, just as a gambler spends his money. A doctor friend once told me, "Dale, 80% of the patients who come to my office fall ill because of worry." Think about this. People fall ill not from actual diseases, but because of the imaginary fears in their minds. Worry is the greatest thief that consumes energy. And what is the antidote to worry? Resting, emptying the mind, letting go of the future, focusing on the present moment. Now, let me give you a practical method. I call this the hour of power. Every day, set aside just 1 hour that belongs solely to you. Do not perform any work during this hour. Do not entertain any worries. Just be. During this hour, you can go for a walk, listen to music, meditate, or simply sit in silence. The important thing is that you use this hour for mental renewal. And I guarantee you this 1 hour will provide you with immense power during the remaining 23 hours of the day. Let me give you another example. John D. Rockefeller, the founder of Standard Oil. He was the world's first billionaire. In his youth, he had experienced health problems. His digestive system was ruined due to overworking. Doctors told him to rest. And Rockefeller made a decision. Every afternoon, he would withdraw completely from work. He would play golf for an hour or work in his garden. This simple change added decades to his life. He lived until the age of 98, and he remained active until the end of his life, because he had understood that resting was not a luxury, but an investment. Now, I want to ask you, how are you using your energy? Are you spending it without a plan? Do you open your door to every newcomer, every task, and every thought? Or are you managing it with care? Successful people use their energy only for their definite purposes. They close the door to everything else. This is not selfishness. This is discipline. This is respect for yourself and for your goal. Let me tell you a story. One day, a businessman came to me. "Mr. Carnegie," he said, "I am exhausted. I wake up at 6 every morning and work until midnight, but my affairs never seem to get in order." I asked him, "How many times do you stop during the day?" He was surprised. "Stopping? Never. I have no time to stop." That was the problem. He thought the machine would be more efficient if it worked continuously, but the truth was exactly the opposite. I gave him a program. He was to take a 10-minute break every 2 hours. During these breaks, he would do nothing, only rest. A month later, he returned to me. "A miracle happened," he said. "Now I work less, but I do more work, and my fatigue has disappeared." The name of this law is the law of rhythmic persistence. Nature operates by this law, and when you obey this law, the power of nature works with you. But when you violate this law, nature turns against you and punishes you with fatigue, illness, and failure. Now, let us speak about the subconscious. For years, I have researched the failures of people, and I discovered this. People fail because their subconscious minds are programmed for failure. From morning till night, they think, "I can't, I won't succeed, I am tired, I am weak," and these thoughts are impressed upon their subconscious. The subconscious then carries out these commands, and thus they ruin themselves. But here is the good news. You can reprogram your subconscious, and the most effective way to do this is during the pre-sleep and post-sleep periods. These are the moments when your conscious resistance is at its weakest. When you lie down in your bed at night, say to yourself, "As I rest, I grow stronger. As I rest, my subconscious is working. When I wake up in the morning, I will be fresh, energetic, and focused." Repeat this every night. And when you wake up in the morning, say this immediately. "Today will be a wonderful day. My energy is abundant, my mind is clear, and my goals are definite." These simple affirmations load a new plan into your subconscious, and over time, your life begins to be shaped according to this plan.
Napoleon Hill writes in his book Think and Grow Rich, "Thoughts are things, and powerful thoughts are powerful things." This is an absolute truth, but most people do not understand this. They do not attempt to control their thoughts. They leave their minds like a leaf tossed in the wind, and then they wonder why their lives are so chaotic. Let me tell you this. Controlling your thoughts begins with controlling your energy, and controlling your energy begins with mastering the rhythm of your rest. Everything is interconnected. A weary mind thinks negatively, and negative thoughts increase fatigue. It is a vicious cycle, and the only way to break this loop is to rest. Let me give you another name. Charles Schwab, the president of Carnegie-style, who earned $1 million a year. Why? Because he knew the art of managing people, and the most vital part of that art was managing their energy. Schwab never drove his men through exhaustion. He gave them regular breaks and ensured they rested, thereby extracting maximum efficiency from them. He knew that a fatigued man is a man of little value, but a rested man is worth his weight in gold. Now, let me ask you an honest question. How do you treat yourself? Do you view yourself as a machine or as a human being? For even machines require regular maintenance, yet you may be denying yourself this care and wondering why you collapse. People say to me, "Mr. Carnegie, I cannot rest, for if I do, I will fall behind, and my rivals will surpass me." This fear is destroying them, for the truth is this: a fatigued person has already fallen behind. A tired man cannot think clearly, cannot make right decisions, and cannot perceive opportunities. He is sinking himself step by step without realizing it. Let me tell you a truth. The one who wins the marathon of success is not the fastest runner, but the smartest. And the smartest runner is the one who manages his energy best. He knows when to accelerate, when to slow down, and when to rest. Remember Benjamin Franklin's words, "Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." Franklin did not speak these words in vain. He applied this principle to his own life and became one of the most influential men in America. Now, let me give you practical steps. First, go to bed at the same hour every night. Second, rise at the same hour every morning. Third, take regular breaks throughout the day. Fourth, eat slowly and digest properly. Fifth, rest completely 1 day a week. These 5 simple rules will change your life. But is this easy? No, for your mind will resist, whispering, "I have no time, I have too much work, I will do it tomorrow." This is a mental game, and you must not be deceived, for tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow is the excuse of laziness and the anthem of failure.
A man once said to me, "I will rest when I retire." What a tragic thought, for he exhausted himself before reaching retirement, suffering a heart attack at 45. And while lying in bed, he realized life is now. Rest is now, and success is now. Consider the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, the men who built the first aeroplane. They labored for days, yet every evening they would stop their work and rest. They dined together,
talked, laughed, and returned to their work the next day with a fresh mind. Let me tell you this. Rest is not a weakness. Rest is power and the way to renew your energy. Rest is the key to activating your subconscious mind. It is the secret ingredient of success. Think now, when does a tree grow? During the day? No. At night, in the darkness and silence, after the sun has set. That is when the roots deepen, the trunk thickens, and the branches extend. For the moment of rest is the moment of growth. And so it is with you. You grow when you rest. Your inner power increases, your mind deepens, your character solidifies. Remember Henry Ford, the man who transformed the automobile industry. He granted his workers an 8-hour workday, which was revolutionary at the time. Everyone called him mad. They said, if workers labor less, production will fall. But Ford proved the opposite. The workers worked less but became more efficient. Production rose, quality increased, and Ford became a billionaire. Why? Because he understood human nature. One rested man is more valuable than 10 weary ones. I ask you, how many men's work are you trying to do? Or are you failing to complete any task fully because of fatigue? For fatigue kills focus. Attention scatters, errors multiply, and in the end, nothing is accomplished. Here is a formula for you. Rest plus focus equals power. Power plus time equals success. It is that simple. Yet people ignore this simple formula. They search for complex strategies and wait for magic methods. But the truth is simple. Rest, focus, act, repeat. A doctor friend of mine once told me, Dale, the healthiest people I see are those who rest regularly. Their immune systems are strong, their minds are sharp, and their bodies are energetic. This is no coincidence. It is a natural law. Now, let me give you a challenge. For the next 30 days, go to bed at the same hour every night. Rise at the same hour every morning. Take at least 3 10-minute breaks during the day, and rest completely 1 full day a week. Do this and look at your life after 30 days. I guarantee you, you will find yourself to be a completely different person. But here's the critical point. You must do this with discipline. If you do it for 1 day and skip 2, it is of no use. Consistency is the mother of success. Rhythm is the father of power. And when you combine these two, you become irresistible. Let me give you a secret. Successful people are not smarter than average people, nor are they more talented. They are simply more disciplined. They understand the economy of energy. They view fatigue as an enemy and fight against it. One day, a young man came to me. Mr. Carnegie, he said, I want to be successful, but I do not know how. I told him, success is not a complex thing. Success is the repetition of simple habits, and the most important habit is rest. He was surprised. Resting? I was expecting to work. I laughed. Yes, you will work, but first you will learn to rest, for a weary man can achieve nothing. That young man listened to me. He returned to me a year later. He said, you were right. I learned to rest, and now I am 10 times more productive. My business has grown, my income has increased, and most importantly, I am happy. This is the power of rest. Now, let me speak to you about mental rest, for it is not only the body that rests, the mind must rest as well, and mental rest is perhaps even more important. What is mental rest? It is letting go of worry. It is letting go of the past. It is letting go of the future. and it is focusing entirely on the present moment.
One day, a businesswoman said to me, "Mr. Carnegie, I can never rest because my mind has no off switch. I am constantly thinking." I told her, "The mind does have a switch, but you do not know how to use it." And I showed her. I taught her breathing exercises. I gave her meditation techniques. And a week later she returned to me saying, "For the first time in my life, I felt true mental peace." The mind is like a muscle that is in use, and like every muscle, it requires rest. Yet most people never allow their minds to rest. They keep them constantly occupied with television, social media, news, and gossip. The mind never remains empty, and thus it grows weary, becomes exhausted, and finally collapses. Let me give you an exercise. Every day, sit in silence for 5 minutes and do nothing. Simply breathe in and out, observing the thoughts in your mind without becoming attached to them. Allow them merely to pass by. This simple exercise is the foundation of mental rest, and if practiced regularly, your mind will grow strong. William James, the famous psychologist, once said, "Most people use only 10% of their minds. Why? Because their minds are weary and scattered. Yet a rested mind operates at its full capacity, and that is when miracles occur." Let me tell you a story. I had an inventor friend who labored for years to solve a single problem, yet the solution eluded him. Every day he worked long hours in his laboratory, but results did not arrive. One day I told him, "Let this problem go and rest for a few days." He resisted, claiming he was too close to stop, but eventually he was persuaded to take a week of rest. And what happened upon his return? On the very first day he found the solution. How? Because his rested mind could perceive the problem from different angles and establish connections that his weary mind could not see. This is the power of the subconscious mind. While you rest, your subconscious continues its labor. In the background, it solves problems, produces new ideas, and establishes creative connections. But you must provide it with this opportunity, for if you keep your conscious mind incessantly occupied, you block the subconscious channel. Let me give you a command. Every night before sleep, assign a task to your subconscious. Tell it, "Solve this problem, find the answer to this question, show me the way to reach this goal." Then let it go. Do not worry or force it, simply sleep. When you awaken, you will find that the answer has arrived. Einstein once described how he discovered his greatest ideas. "I work intensely on the problem, but before finding the solution, I let it go. I go for a walk, listen to music, or take a nap, and then, suddenly, the solution appears in my mind." This was no coincidence. It was the mechanics of the subconscious at work. Now, let me speak to you regarding energy leaks, for these leaks are the primary cause of fatigue. What is an energy leak? It is unnecessary thoughts, needless worries, idle conversations, and useless relationships. These steal your energy silently, and you remain unaware of the theft. A man once said to me, "I am very tired, yet I do not know why, for I do not perform much labor." I told him, "The problem is not the work you do, the problem is the worries you entertain." Upon investigation, we found he carried hundreds of needless worries daily, asking, "What if this happens? What if that happens?" These worries were consuming his energy. I taught him to cut off the worry and focus on the present moment. Within a month, his fatigue vanished. Let me give you a formula. Energy equals focus multiplied by time. If your focus is scattered, no matter how much time you expend, your energy is wasted.
But if your focus is sharp, you will achieve great works in a short time. Think of Teddy Roosevelt, one of America's most energetic presidents, yet even he understood the law of rest. Every afternoon he devoted an hour to gymnastics or hiking, and that single hour provided him with energy that lasted the entire day. He knew that energy is capital and must be invested with wisdom. Now, let me tell you one final story. A farmer used his horse every day to plow his fields, but one day he refused to let the horse rest. He worked it from dawn until dusk. The next day, the horse fell ill, and the farmer could not work for a week because he was forced to wait for the animal's recovery. Had he rested his horse regularly, this would never have happened. You are like that farmer, and your body is like that horse. If you do not allow it to rest, it too will fall ill, and you will be forced to wait. But if you honor its rhythm, it will serve you for years.
Now, I issue the final command. Rest before you are exhausted. This is not mere advice, it is a law of nature. If you violate this law, nature will punish you with failure, but if you obey it, she will reward you with power. You are no longer a victim. You are a master of your rhythm and a king of your energy. You are the one who chooses power over fatigue on the road to success, and this choice will alter your destiny forever. Act now, today, this moment, this very minute. Create a rest plan for yourself and execute it for 30 days. After 30 days, you will wake as a completely new person, stronger, sharper, and more successful. This is a choice, and the choice is yours. But remember, doing nothing is also a choice, and that choice leads to the slow death of exhaustion and failure. Choose rest, choose power, choose success, because you deserve it. Now, let me share a fundamental principle from my book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Live in day-tight compartments. The past is dead, and the future is yet unborn. The only time we truly possess is now. One of the primary causes of fatigue is carrying the regrets of yesterday and the anxieties of tomorrow into today. Think of a ship captain. His vessel has watertight compartments. If one is damaged, the others remain sound, and the ship does not sink. You must divide your life into day-tight units. Do not bring yesterday's errors into this hour, and do not carry tomorrow's worries into your current strength. Focus only on today, and this focus will grant you incredible energy. Once there was a doctor named Dr. William Osler who founded the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. He once said, "The secret of my success is simple. It is clearing my mind of the past and the future and concentrating only on today." Every morning he rose and asked, "What can I do today?" He lived only for today, and this discipline made him a master of his age. I tell you this, trying to carry tomorrow's burden with today's strength exhausts a man. Imagine a man who wakes up and while eating breakfast is already worrying about what he will eat tomorrow. While going to work, he tries to plan what he will do next month. While returning home in the evening, he imagines 10 years into the future. This man is never in the present. He does not live life, he worries about life, and this worry consumes him. I suggest this to you. When you wake up every morning, say to yourself, "Today I will live only for today. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow has not yet arrived, I have only today, and I will use this day in the best way possible." This simple thought will incredibly lighten your mental burden. Now, let me tell you the story of a businessman named Edward Evans. Evans was the manager of a streetcar company. He dealt with hundreds of problems every day: employee issues, financial struggles, and legal matters. After a while, he was exhausted.
Doctors diagnosed him with a severe nervous breakdown. And at that very moment, he read my book and decided to apply the principle of day-tight compartments. Every morning as he entered the office, he would clear his mind. He would forget yesterday, postpone tomorrow, and focus only on that day. Within 3 months, he recovered completely, made his company more successful, and wrote me a letter saying, "Mr. Carnegie, this principle saved my life." This is proof that rest must be not only physical, but mental as well. Mental rest is moving away from worry, living for today, and focusing on the present moment. When you do this, your body naturally rests as well. Now let me speak of another important subject, the relationship between monotony and fatigue. Many people believe they are tired of their work, but in reality they are tired of monotony. Doing the same things, following the same routine, and speaking with the same people causes mental wear and tear, and this wear reveals itself as fatigue. What is the solution? Variety, but the right kind of variety. Not jumping from one project to another at work, but on the contrary, dedicating time to different activities outside of your work. Take up a hobby, learn to play an instrument, work in the garden, paint, walk, read, and meet different people. These activities allow you to use different parts of your mental muscles, and thus the mental muscles you use at work find the opportunity to rest. There was a lawyer named Paul Dawson who prepared for court 12 hours every day. He would return home exhausted. But he noticed something. Taking care of his garden after returning rested him. How could this be? He had worked all day and was tired, yet gardening rested him. Because gardening used a different part of his mind. Instead of thinking about legal matters, he thought about the soil, the plants, and nature. And this change provided him with energy. Here is a principle for you. You can overcome fatigue not only by resting, but by changing activities. This does not mean running from one job to another. On the contrary, it means completely changing your mental focus. If your work is mental, use your body. If your work is physical, use your mind. This balance keeps you refreshed. Now let me tell you about another very important subject, pre-sleep rituals. Most people think sleep is just the time spent in bed, but the truth is this: the quality of sleep is determined in the hour before you fall asleep. If you use this final hour correctly, you will achieve a deep and regenerative sleep. If you use it wrongly, you will struggle all night. So, what does it mean to use it correctly? Turn off all electronic devices 1 hour before bed. Leave behind the television, phone, and computer. Do not expose yourself to anything that would stimulate your mind. Instead, turn to calm activities. Read a light book, take a warm shower, listen to soft music, or just sit in silence. This 1 hour transition period puts your mind into sleep mode, and when you wake up in the morning, you will feel truly rested. A business executive once said to me, "Mr. Carnegie, I fall asleep the moment I get into bed, but I wake up tired in the morning." I asked him about his pre-sleep routine. He was watching the news at 11 in the evening. He was scrolling through social media. He was checking his business emails. And then he was getting into bed and waiting. "That is exactly the problem," I said. "You are stimulating your mind and then expecting to fall asleep suddenly. It does not work that way." I gave him a new routine. He was to turn off the screens at 10 in the evening. He was to perform 10 minutes of breathing exercises. He was to read a light book and go to bed at 11:30. A week later, he returned to me. "For the first time in my life, I woke up truly rested," he said. Now let me speak to you regarding sleep itself. People ask me, how many hours should we sleep a day? My answer is this: It varies from person to person, but the important thing is not the duration, but the quality. 5 hours of deep sleep is better than 8 hours of shallow sleep. And what is the secret of deep sleep? A regular sleep schedule and a relaxed mind. Napoleon would sleep only 4 hours, but in those 4 hours he would sleep so deeply that he was completely refreshed. Conversely, anxious people can stay in bed for 10 hours and yet never rest because their minds continue to work, their dreams are chaotic, their sleep is fragmented, and they wake up more tired in the morning. So, what is the secret of deep sleep? It is performing a mental cleansing before bed. Say to yourself, I have done my best today. I will not worry about tomorrow. Now is the time for rest. This simple affirmation gives your mind permission, and you drift into a deep sleep. Now let me tell you about another subject, the role of nutrition in combating fatigue. Yes, you heard that correctly. What you eat and how you eat directly affects your energy level. Heavy meals make you sluggish, eating quickly exhausts your digestive system, and irregular nutrition upsets your blood sugar. Here are some practical suggestions for you. First, never skip breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It provides your body with morning energy. Second, do not have a heavy lunch. After a heavy lunch, afternoon drowsiness arrives. Opt for a light and nutritious meal. Third, eat dinner early. Eating 2 hours before bed increases your sleep quality. And let me add this, drink water. The cause of most people's fatigue is actually dehydration. When the body does not get enough water, all systems slow down, and you feel this as fatigue. Drink at least 8 glasses of water a day and see the difference in your energy level. Now let me speak of another critical subject, the relationship between physical exercise and rest. It may seem paradoxical. How can it be that exercising rests you? But that is the truth. People who exercise regularly grow less weary because exercise increases blood circulation, it accelerates the flow of oxygen, it causes the release of endorphins, and all these make you feel more energetic. But there is a point to be careful of here. Excessive exercise exhausts, moderate and regular exercise restores. What I recommend to you is this: walk for at least 30 minutes every day. Walking is the best exercise. Your body works and your mind rests simultaneously. Walking in nature, in particular, creates a tremendous effect. There was an engineer named Willis H. Carrier, the man who developed air conditioning systems. He would walk for half an hour every day after lunch. People would say to him, "Why are you spending your lunch break on a walk instead of working?" He would reply, "Because this half-hour walk makes me twice as productive in the afternoon. When I return from the walk, my mind is fresh and my ideas are clear. Therefore, this is not a loss, but an investment." And he was right. Now, let me speak to you regarding social relations and rest, for it is a bitter truth that some people refresh you while others exhaust you. Some relationships provide you with vital energy, while others act as emotional leaks that drain your spirit. If you are struggling with fatigue, you must re-examine your associations and the climate of your inner court. It is often asked, what kind of people exhaust you? It is those who complain constantly, those who criticize relentlessly, and those who manufacture drama. After spending time with such individuals, you feel hollow because they have effectively siphoned your energy and crowded your mind with thoughts that don't belong to you.
Conversely, who are the people that restore you? They are the positive souls, the supportive minds, and the agreeable companions. You emerge from their presence feeling revitalized because they replenish your mental and spiritual reserves and multiply your strength through harmony. What then must you do? You must distance yourself from those who drain your energy, even though it may be difficult if they are family members or colleagues. You must establish definite boundaries, reduce the time spent in their company, and redirect your energy toward those who align with your purpose. A woman once said to me, "Mr. Carnegie, my mother complains constantly, and I feel exhausted whenever we speak. But she is my mother. I cannot abandon her." I replied, "I am not telling you to abandon her, but you must establish a law. Shorten your visits, speak only of constructive topics, and refuse to participate in the complaints." She obeyed my counsel, and a month later she returned, saying, "It is incredible. My relationship has improved, and our time together no longer drains me." Now, let me speak of the relationship between your work environment and fatigue, for the space in which you labor directly influences your energy level. A dark office, a noisy atmosphere, and a cluttered desk all demand unnecessary mental effort that could have been used for creation. What is the remedy? First, keep your workspace as bright as possible, preferably with natural light. Second, reduce noise, and if you cannot control the environment, use instruments to protect your silence. Third, keep your desk in order, for a disordered table reflects a disordered mind, and an unorganized mind cannot produce efficient results. An executive once asked me, "My office is stressful, with constant noise and interruptions. How can I rest in such a place?" I told him, "If you cannot change your office, change yourself. Use headphones, close the door, declare your hours of silence, and spend your breaks in the fresh air." He performed these acts and returned later saying, "I am in the same office, yet I no longer feel the weight of fatigue." Now let me tell you of a vital principle, the power of saying no. The fatigue of many is born from a habit of saying yes to every request, every project, and every invitation, until they scatter their energy and complete nothing with excellence. They become overextended and eventually collapse beneath the weight of unwanted obligations. Saying no is an art that you must master, for being available to everyone makes you popular but not powerful. Conversely, the successful man is selective. His refusal of the unnecessary allows him to achieve mastery in what he chooses to accept. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men of our age, once remarked that the difference between successful people and very successful people is that the latter say no to almost everything. The most accomplished individuals are those who refuse most often, for they conserve their energy for their most definite purposes. I offer you this suggestion. For 1 week, record every request made of you and evaluate whether it serves your aim or deserves your energy. If the answer is no, refuse it with authority. This simple exercise will alter the trajectory of your destiny. Finally, let me speak regarding the relationship between perfectionism and fatigue, for perfectionism is a disease of the mind that has caused the decline of many capable leaders. Perfectionists attempt to do everything perfectly, and this is impossible. The result is constant disappointment, constant stress, and constant fatigue. The truth is this: perfection does not exist. You can always do better, but at some point you must stop. You must make peace with being good enough. This does not mean laziness, it means making an intelligent choice. Which tasks should be near perfect? Very few. Which tasks should simply be good? Most. Which tasks can be average? Some. If you can make this distinction, you will use your energy wisely. An architect once said to me, "I try to make every project a masterpiece, and in the end I am exhausted." I told him, "Every project cannot be a masterpiece, for then the masterpiece loses its meaning. Give your energy to the most important projects, do the others simply well, and do not feel guilty about it."
He applied this and returned to me 6 months later saying it is both less tired and producing better work. Now, let me speak of one final principle, the power of gratitude. Gratitude rests you. How? Because gratitude brings you to the present moment. You focus not on what you are not, but on what you are, and this provides a mental relaxation. Every evening before sleep, set aside 5 minutes and count 5 things for which you are grateful. They can be simple things, your health, your family, your work, the food you eat, or the home you live in. No matter what, give thanks. This simple exercise brings your mind into a positive mode and prepares you for a peaceful sleep. A man once said to me, "I have nothing to be grateful for. My life is a disaster." I said, "You can speak with me. That means you can hear. You can speak with me. That means you can talk. You can speak with me. That means you are alive. Here are 3 things to be grateful for." He opened his eyes and understood that there is always something to be grateful for if you only choose to see it. Now let me speak to you about a very practical and vital subject, digital fatigue. This is one of the greatest energy thieves of the modern world. Phones, computers, tablets, constant notifications, constant emails, constant social media. The mind never rests, and this state of constant stimulation causes chronic fatigue. Think about it. 100 years ago, people received only a few messages a day. Letters were slow and thoughtful. But now, you receive hundreds of messages daily, each demanding your attention and each expecting a reaction. You are constantly in a mode of reaction, which means your mind never moves into true rest. What then is the solution? A digital fast. Withdraw from all devices at specific hours each day. My suggestion is this: do not look at your phone for the first hour of the morning and the last hour of the evening. These 2 hours are your time, time when no one else can interfere. The morning hour starts the day rightly, and the evening hour prepares you for a peaceful sleep. A technology executive once told me, "Mr. Carnegie, I am in the tech sector. I must be constantly connected." I told him, "No one is required to be constantly connected. It is an illusion. Even if there is an emergency, it can wait an hour. But if you do not set aside an hour for yourself, you will burn out." He listened to me, performed a digital fast for an hour in the morning and evening, and returned to me a month later, saying, "For the first time in my life, I felt true rest." Now let me speak of the relationship between breath and rest. Most people breathe unconsciously, yet breath is the foundation of life. Correct breathing provides you with incredible energy. Incorrect breathing exhausts you. Here is a simple breathing exercise. Breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. Exhale through your mouth for a count of 8. Do this 3 times a day, 10 repetitions each time. This exercise calms your nervous system, lowers your blood pressure, and places you in a state of deep relaxation. A lawyer once said to me, "I grow very tense before court. My heart beats fast and my hands sweat. What should I do?" I taught him this breathing exercise. "Perform this exercise for 5 minutes in the restroom before the court begins," I said. He did so and returned to me stating, "It has an incredible effect. I now enter the courtroom calm and focused." Now let me tell you about the relationship between nature and rest. Man is a creature of nature, but modern life has severed him from it. Concrete buildings, closed offices, and artificial light, all these consume a man because he belongs to nature, and being severed from it weakens him. Research indicates that time spent in nature reduces stress, strengthens the immune system, increases creativity, and raises energy levels. So what must you do? Spend at least 30 minutes in nature every day. Walk in a park, sit under a tree, watch the birds, or look at the sky. These simple activities will renew you in an incredible manner. John Muir, the famous naturalist, once said, "Going to the mountains is like going home." He understood the healing power of nature over the human soul and dedicated his life to spreading this truth. You too must benefit from this power. Now let me speak to you regarding the relationship between creativity and rest. Creative people are rested people because creativity emerges in the moments when the mind relaxes. A mind that works constantly only imitates, but a rested mind creates. The greatest creators in history possessed regular rest routines. Beethoven took long walks every afternoon, Mozart did not work until late hours but retired early, and Michelangelo took regular breaks because they all knew that creativity does not come through force, it comes through relaxation. If you perform creative work, you must view rest not as a luxury, but as a necessity. For your rest time is actually your work time. Your subconscious continues its labor in those moments. Ideas mature and solutions emerge. A writer once said to me, "I sit at my desk for hours, but I am not writing. I am blocked." I told him, "Get up, go for a walk, empty your mind, and return a few hours later." He did, and returned to me saying, "The words flow when I return from a walk." Now let me speak to you about the relationship between music and rest. Music is the food of the soul. The right music restores you, while the wrong music overstimulates you, and both have their place. Listen to energetic music in the morning to spark motion. During the day, choose quiet, instrumental music while working. It helps you focus. In the evening, listen to calm, relaxing music to prepare you for a sleep. A CEO once said to me, "I am in meetings all day and return home tired in the evening." I told him, "When you are home, turn on calm music and do nothing. Just listen." He did, and returned to me after a week saying, "I did not know music had such a powerful effect. I now truly rest in the evenings." Now let me speak to you regarding the relationship between meditation and rest. Meditation is the deepest form of mental rest. Many view meditation as something mystical, but in reality it is very simple. It is focusing the mind on the present moment, letting go of the past, letting go of the future, and simply living in the now. Meditating for just 10 minutes a day provides immense benefits. It reduces stress, increases focus, triggers creativity, and places you in a state of deep tranquility. How is it done? Sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Thoughts will come. Do not judge them. Just observe and let them pass. It will be difficult at first, but it becomes easier with practice. Ray Dalio, one of the world's most successful hedge fund managers, meditates every day. "Meditation is the best gift I have given myself," he says. "It gives me clarity, calmness, and creativity." If one of the busiest men in the world can find time for meditation, you can too. Now let me tell you about the relationship between laughter and rest. Laughter relaxes both the body and the mind.
During laughter, the body releases endorphins, muscles relax, blood pressure drops, and you simply feel good. Laughter is akin to physical exercise for the body, but it is far more enjoyable. Consider how much you laugh. Children laugh hundreds of times a day, yet adults do so only a few times because they have taken life far too seriously, and this gravity exhausts them. My suggestion to you is this: laugh more. Watch comedy, associate with humorous people, and laugh at yourself, for life is short, far too short to be spent in constant solemnity. Victor Borge once said that laughter is the shortest distance between two people, and I add that laughter is also the shortest distance between you and true rest.
Now, let me speak of the relationship between forgiveness and rest. Holding a grudge is exhausting, carrying anger is wearying, and being resentful of the past is a misuse of mental energy that is ultimately wasted. Forgiveness, however, liberates you. It is the act of releasing the past and making a covenant with yourself to no longer carry that pain, a decision that provides an incredible sense of relief. Whom must you forgive? Perhaps someone who hurt you, abandoned you, or disappointed you, or perhaps most importantly, yourself. For while forgiving oneself is the most difficult task, it is the most essential for peace. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, yet he chose to forgive rather than seek vengeance, noting that resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for your enemies to die. By forgiving, he secured his own freedom. Now, let us discuss simplicity and rest. Modern life is complex, filled with too many choices and responsibilities that consume a man's strength because every decision requires mental capital, and too many decisions exhaust you. Simplify your existence, reduce your belongings, your responsibilities, and your options, for the less you have to worry about, the more you can truly rest. Steve Jobs wore the same attire every day, a black turtleneck and jeans, because he did not wish to waste mental energy on a trivial morning decision, saving that energy for the decisions that truly mattered. I ask you, what can you simplify in your own life? What belongings are unnecessary, and what burdens can you release? Find these answers and simplify. Now consider the link between patience and rest. Impatience is exhausting because the impatient man is always waiting for a future that has not arrived, failing to live in the present moment, and this state of waiting consumes him. Everything has its season. A seed takes time to sprout, an oak tree takes time to grow, and success takes time to mature. If you rush, you cannot enjoy the process. Instead, you remain constantly tense, and tension breeds fatigue. Be patient and trust the process, for everything will unfold in its appointed time, and this trust will grant you rest. A young entrepreneur once complained to me that his business was not growing fast enough, and I told him that businesses do not grow overnight. They grow slowly like trees. You have planted the seed, and now you must water it, ensure it sees the sun, and wait, for impatience will not make the seed sprout faster. He understood, and in time his enterprise flourished. Finally, let us speak of purpose and rest. A man without purpose grows weary because he does not know where he is going. He runs in every direction, yet arrives nowhere, and this aimless commotion exhausts his spirit. But the man with a definiteness of purpose can rest because he knows his destination and which tasks are essential. He gives his energy only to those tasks, eliminates the rest, and this clarity provides him with profound peace. So, what is your definite chief aim? This simple question is in truth the most difficult one, yet you must answer it. For an aimless life is an exhausting existence. I suggest this to you. Sit in a quiet place and ask yourself, for what do I live? What do I wish to accomplish before I pass? What would I want written upon my headstone? The answers to these questions will guide you to find your purpose. Now, let me tell you one final truth. Rest is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Rest is not a weakness, rest is power. And the man who does not learn to rest can never achieve true success. Success is not a destination, it is a journey and a lifestyle, and the foundation of this lifestyle is balance. A balance between labor and rest, motion and stillness, and efficiency and peace. When you find this equilibrium, your life transforms. The time has come for my final words. You have heard every principle explained here, but knowledge alone is not enough. Application is required. If you do not apply these principles, these words will remain merely a heap of phrases. But what if you do apply them? What if you retire at the same hour every night? What if you live in day-tight compartments? What if you cease to worry, take regular breaks, and learn the art of saying no? What if you simplify your life, forgive others, and practice gratitude? Then your life will be transformed. In 30 days you will be a different man. In 60 days you will be unrecognizable. And in 90 days people will ask you, what has changed? How can you be so energetic? And you will smile and say, I learned to rest. It is that simple and it is that powerful. Now I have a request. Listen to this once more, but this time take notes. Mark which principles are most vital to you and begin applying them starting tomorrow. Do not try to apply everything at once. Select one, practice it for 30 days, then add another. And remember, success is not a goal, it is a journey. On this journey, the rest stops are as important as the journey itself, perhaps even more so.